our guest joining us on Just Talking is CCS contributor Kevin Drake, live on the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show, to discuss all the latest news circulating around the world of sports. So how's it going, Kevin?
It's going great. How you doing, Marissa? Hey, was that a lilac sound?
It was. You know what? So I have a babysitter called the laptop. Yeah. And it Netflix disappeared, so she was letting me know that I needed to put it back on for her.
Damn it,
oh, great! The wonders of technology.
The wonders of technology.
Free. Hey, it's babysitting for $12.99 a month. I love it.
Yeah. No, it's awesome.
Who would have thought? But you know what, Kevin? We're here for sports, and let's get right on into it because the World Series, the annual championship series of the Major League Baseball, has been contested since 1903 between the champion teams of the American League and the National League. And which MLB team has a better chance to get back on track? Is it the Boston Red Sox or the Los Angeles Dodgers?
You said it, the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Let's get it, baby.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
And I'll give you a great stat. I know I've told you this before off air, but in the last 2 years, obviously they won the World Series last year. When the Dodgers faced elimination, which they were down 3-1 to the Braves last year, and they won all 3 elimination games and went on to win the World Series. This year, they were down 2-1 to the Giants in a best of 5 and won both elimination games. And now they just won the elimination game last night. So look, the Braves fans and the Braves got to be sweating oh my God, history is about to repeat itself.
So there's a lot of history repeating. I just hope that the pandemic doesn't repeat itself, if you catch my drift.
No,
so I'm all cool with repeats, but let's just not let that like that random voodoo doll it's randomly getting stabbed come along with us, you know what I'm saying? But I really do hope that the Los Angeles Dodgers pull this thing off because, for myself, watching Game 3, seeing them change out 9 different pitchers and then have Urias have his troubles during Game 4 and then obviously the ass kicking on Game 5, they're playing with my emotions. But I do have to ask you, Kevin, because you are the huge baseball fanatic. Who would you prefer to see in the MLB World Series? It obviously sounds like you're in for the LA Dodgers, but who would you like them to contest against?
Oh, I want to see him play the Astros and beat them. And here's the kicker, is that the Astros manager is Dusty Baker. Now, you remember Dusty Baker won a World Series with the Dodgers back in 81 as a player. So that would be really cool to see Dusty Baker led Astros. But I wanted Dodgers to get their vindication because they should have won that World Series back when the Astros were cheating. The Astros
I'm sort of feeling that. I know Marissa's a little conflated with that statement.
Based off of those facts, I totally understand now why you want that. I'm going off of emotional, and I want the Boston Red Sox and the Doyers to play, and the Doyers to beat them badly.
I kind of want to see a lot of bang
trash. You know what? That's a good one. That's a good pick too, Marissa, because they also lost to the Red Sox that year. That Price had an amazing run, and I mean that was just a great team that year. They were just a better team. So yeah, either or. They're going to get
what happens when you trade Babe Ruth back in the day. You know what I mean? You never get it. You only get that one win. That's it.
Absolutely. I want to see a lot of bang trash cans myself, Kevin. I'm kind of with you. I would like to see the Los Angeles Dodgers take on the Houston Astros and silence that team.
Hey, don't tell our producer that. Our producer is a Boston Red Sox fanatic.
Much love, Paul. I got your back. But hey, as Los Doyer fans out here, we all want to be banging them trash cans because we all know that the Astros are trash. And, if you lose, that means you're kind of trash too. But hey, we could talk about that after the show. But hey, Kevin, this is a bit off topic, but it's relatable in the world of sports and NFTs. And MLB gave Candy Digital its entire digital catalog. And Candy Digital is Fanatics NFT company. So the company wants to build an NFT marketplace where users can buy, trade, sell, and store NFTs. So that means Candy Digital could leverage rare collectibles of NFTs like legends like Marissa said, Babe Ruth, and Jackie Robinson in the future. So do you believe the MLB fans will gravitate towards this new venture of collectibles?
I mean, we'll see. I mean, if Peyton Manning put a lot of money into this, he put a lot of money into Candy Digital.
Yeah.
If Peyton Manning's invested a lot of money in this.
Undisclosed, but I mean, that's a big name, right?
Yeah, that's a big name.
Don't you kind of feel like that MLB sort of created the Pokemon card hype on a level? I mean, it seems like baseball were originally the ones that created this collectible hype, especially when it started out in the tobacco packs. You're collecting all your baseball cards. But I guess my real question is, that's a little different than what an NFT is. Do you see MLB fans taking
if the NFT, like you just said earlier, is tied to something that's tangible, like a piece of art or a baseball card or whatever it is, then yes, you're holding this certificate of authenticity through the token itself. But if it's just a token like trading on like how the market does, you're trading on gold, but you don't really own any gold. But when you buy gold, is it going to be something like that?
I guess it's almost like they're just trying to get rid of the paperwork, and they would rather just have everything stored in a blockchain,
right.
like a digital format, like you were just suggesting. And I guess we'll kind of see. I mean, I think it was kind of a crazy milestone that the MLB is doing. So I don't know about you, Kevin, October 26th, you can get your first NFT. Are you going to purchase one? I'm kind of considering it, just so I could sit on it. If it's really cheap, I'm kind of considering
Wait. Can you say that again? I'm sorry, the guy who said NFT is never going to go anywhere?
And I will explain myself first, because I honestly feel like it was so much different when it becomes the Kings of Leon trying to kick off an NFT with music albums. I think when you capture a whole sports organization like the Major League Baseball, and let's not forget the fact that Fanatics owns all the licensing merchandising agreement for the NFL, NHL, NBA, soccer, you name it. You don't think that they'll take over that and then use that as their authentication, paperwork in the form of an NFT? I kind of would take a little bit of a gamble. I'm not going to spend a lot.
All I'm saying is, I'm glad to see you've come over to the correct side, Chris.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. If it's cheap, then maybe I might swindle. But hey, let's move on, because, obviously the NBA season has officially kicked off, the league enjoying their 75th anniversary season. And I got to ask you right away, Kevin. I mean, are the Milwaukee Bucks on the road to a repeat, or will the star-studded Brooklyn Nets exact revenge?
Well, it looks like the Nets are minus Kyrie Irving. If the Nets can, obviously they can still score. They still got a good, solid team. They picked up Patty Mills, who's a great backup point guard. I think the Nets could still do it, but the Bucks are going to be a tough team, because, I mean, as far as a best of 7, they're a really good basketball team. But after what the Miami Heat did to them last night, it shows you Miami's actually coming up too. So the East has gotten stronger.
The East has gotten stronger. So, it's funny that you actually did just reference, Kyrie Irving right now, because obviously he has been absent, in the league, as, the Nets organization said that they're not going to play into his, vaccine protest. So let's play a clip from Charles Barkley on the night of the season opener, because he was not happy with Kyrie Irving's absence from the team due to his decision to remain unvaccinated.
First of all, you don't get the vaccine for yourself. You get it for other people.
No, I'm not saying.
Hold on, first. You said your piece.
No, I didn't say you do.
I got vaccinated. I can't wait to get the booster. You don't get vaccinated just for yourself. Like Adam said, you get vaccinated for your family first. You get vaccinated for your teammates second, things like that. That's what bothers me about this whole thing. I think everybody should get vaccinated.
How do you feel about Kyrie Irving choosing not to get the vaccine?
I mean, it's his choice. It's what he believes, and it's his freedom of choice. And that's the real issue here, is this medical tyranny that the politicians are playing with this whole vaccine mandate. I'm not against vaccines either. But at the same time, there's another player that also just came out. If you heard is a Michael Porter Jr. from the Denver Nuggets.
Yep.
And he says, my main thing is we don't have years and years of data that how it can affect you. And he goes, I'm not against the vaccine, but try to force it on other people. He's like, I'm about my freedom of choice.
It almost seems like if you want to have your freedom of choice, you got to pick and choose. I mean, this again is like a private organization, right?
But look at this. Michael Porter Jr. plays in Colorado. So he can play in all the games. And thing is, too, when he comes to Brooklyn, he'll be allowed to play, because even though he's unvaccinated, he still can play. Because like you said, the visiting teams can play in Brooklyn.
And that's my problem. Yeah. And that's my problem with it. Because if you're going to, as a private organization on that team, you want to go ahead and hurt your teammate, like the people who are in your city getting the money funneled into it. Yet you're going to then allow a non-vaccinated team player from another team come in. That doesn't make any sense.
That's why I would say, Charles Barkley, you're kind of like stabbing yourself with a double-edged sword, because how could you say that, like Adam Silver says, you do it for your family first and then you do it for your teammates second, when that's the exact point? How is a resident athlete like Kyrie Irving not allowed to play in the Barclays Center, but the opposing team, like let's say Andrew Wiggins, who was on the fence from the Warriors, was able to, to show up to the arena and play? that makes completely no sense. And that's why it's put, in my opinion, a tricky situation for the Brooklyn Nets. And what do you say about the Brooklyn Nets who stepped in and refused to go half on and half off with Kyrie Irving?
Yeah, this is not even an NBA mandate. At first I thought it was, but it's not, because the NBA hasn't mandated it. It's just the Brooklyn Nets are just like, well, we're not going to be on the hook. If he can't play in the home games, they're not going to pay him. Well, they're paying him for this year, but they had a 4-year, $189 million contract extension that they took off the table.
Well, yeah, but you know what? Everybody keeps saying partially, but the kid is still making $400,000 a game, even through his many protests. So it's going to come to a point where the Brooklyn Nets are going to have to decide, do we want this man on the team so he can continue his stance, or is it going to cost the team a championship?
And I'll be honest, and if I was Kyrie, I would sue. Because as you said, Kevin, as you said, it's not an NBA mandate. It is not in his contract. He is not breaking a contract. Really, the Brooklyn Nets are breaking his contract and penalizing him.
Yeah, it's such a tricky situation. Thank God he didn't pull like a situation like in the NHL's dealing with, the San Jose Sharks of Vander Kane, who presented a fake vaccine passport. Like, that's crazy. So at least Kyrie Irving's not doing that. Like I said before numerous times on the show, it's so easy to make fun of Kyrie Irving. But hey, listen, it's like you said, Kevin, it is his American right. And if he feels that way, he can. But also repercussions will come your way. But you know what, Kevin, I do want to ask you overall, what NBA team do you believe will be hoisting the Larry O'Brien trophy at the end of the season?
As crazy as this sounds, I mean, obviously if the Lakers can stay healthy and they start playing well together, that could very well be the team. But my dark horse team, I think they could literally be holding the trophy as the Golden State Warriors.
You know what? I think they are being slept on. On a level, that performance last night during the Clippers game, I'm kind of with you. But do you feel like with the star-studded, cast that the Los Angeles Lakers have assembled, they're basically the Avengers. I mean, is that enough to get the championship?
They still have tough competition. You still got some really good teams like the Denver Nuggets, the Utah Jazz, the Los Angeles Clippers. I mean, they're going to give the Lakers fits. I mean, it's not guaranteed just because it's all on paper. I mean, remember the Heat with LeBron James, the 4 years he was there, they only won 2 championships.
That's true.
Out of the 4 years.
But let's switch gears for a moment, because this was also in the world of sports, and including basketball, because the Boston Celtics games were abruptly pulled from the Chinese internet on Thursday after a center on the team, Enes Kanter, said on social media that the country's leader, Xi Jinping, was a brutal dictator, citing his government's repressive policies in Tibet. So we saw a decline in U.S. viewership when it comes to the NBA using political justice movements, but will this jeopardize the league?
I'm not sure how it's going to affect the league, but definitely the Boston Celtics, that's a great brand. And of course, it's going to hurt them a little bit. You don't think
with the quarter of the world, which is basically the number one audience for National Basketball League, like, you don't think that that's going to harm them?
But getting to the Enes, I think he has a right to speak his mind, but it's a double-edged sword. It's like, okay, they let LeBron speak out on all these social justice issues, even when he was outspoken, didn't know all the facts about the Brianna situation that happened last
that's
year.
Actually kind of a funny point that you're referencing, because this is what I'm starting to think right now as you just started to say that. It is kind of ironic. If they were to put harsh punishment on Kanter for, riding on his sneakers free Tibet, then why is it acceptable to put Black Lives Matter on the hardwood pavement on the court that all the other NBA players do? Because if they're allowed to do political justice, Marissa, you're about to say something.
I was going to say the difference is, and it's very interesting, is LeBron James, while was very outspoken and positive for Black Lives Matters, when it came to China, when it came to all of a sudden, he really changed his tune because he knew that he didn't want to have anything pulled from him.
Exactly. I mean, we all know that Nike has a huge enterprise in the country of China, and this is going to definitely be detrimental to the league. But honestly, I guess the real overall question is, obviously we're seeing these players start to protest more and more and more and use their stature of being a sports athlete to bring out a political message. And do you think that NBA fans care about these political messages?
It's such a touchy thing because they're still using the NBA platform. If they're coming off the side and just holding a press conference just on their own time and raising these issues, that's one thing. But they're doing it during the press conferences after a game. Hey, I want to know what happened after the game. And now you're talking about China and this and that. And I don't want to. I mean, it's not that I don't want to hear about it. I want to see sports. I'm trying to check away from all that.
I guess the wild part is, I mean, at least he didn't say Winnie the Pooh on his sneakers. Just saying. But I did see that Adam Silver said that it was unclear whether the CCTV television in China will come back this year. So if that happens, I would be very curious to see how affected the NBA was moving forward in this season. But Kevin, let's move on forward because obviously we saw last week the Chicago celebrated the Skies' first ever WNBA championship with a parade and rally on Tuesday at Millennium Park. And for anyone who missed the event, Marissa, let's roll the clip. I'm sorry. I every time I see that clip, I can't stop laughing because I've never seen anything this lackluster in my life since my high school homecoming parade, if you know what I'm saying. Like, some people have used this video online as an example for why women aren't paid the same as men in sports. Is this clip a fair assessment?
It's a tough one because they don't know the backstory behind it. Candace Parker, who played in LA, she's a great player, and she went back home to Chicago and she led them to a championship. But they just don't have a good following. Now,
be honest. I mean, be honest. I mean, do you think that they have the same statures of like men's sports?
No,
I mean, we all know the story of Candace Parker.
Yeah,
she went from LA.
Yeah.
She was voted in the league as the most overrated player. Then she comes back to hometown, wins the thing. But then this lackluster performance. I mean, I'm really curious, Marissa. You should be the one that should be chiming in on this. I mean, what is your thoughts?
I was waiting to hear what you guys said. Right?
No, I'm really. I mean, to me, I don't think these athletes should be paid this like a Steph Curry on a level.
And I agree. And I think the difference is when it comes to a training, like the women's soccer was showing, like the training facility compared to the men's and the women was so drastically subpar. That is not right. It is, and it needs to be addressed. When it comes to pay, you have to look at the amount of how much money is coming in to that organization based off of which team. And that does delineate how much that person will get paid. And my whole thing, if you want to up that payment and get that, then you should have a percentage of what comes in off the top. And that will have you turn around and reinvest your own money into promoting your team, having the publicist out there. Because if I know I'm going to get a percentage of what comes in, that would spur me to have more. Versus just being like, hey, you should just pay me more, even though we're not bringing in the money
or the same popularity as the NBA on a level.
I'm all about women having the same dollar amount as a male. Like, I'm all about that. But you also have to look at, like, if I'm not bringing in the money, I can't expect to make the same amount as somebody who is literally carrying the franchise.
It's so true.
You can't expect that.
It's so true. I mean, some people have even made the same argument when it comes to even NHL. It's like they just finally got their, partnership up with ESPN. They're hoping that they can even build even more of a larger audience because they feel like TNT and TBS is not enough, for the NHL. But I guess we'll have to see when it comes to WNBA. But I want to move on because, Kevin, I really wanted to talk to you about this because last week during our hashtag TLDR segment, I discussed the hypocrisy of the NFL pressuring the I'm about to say Los Angeles. Oh my gosh, that would have been a sin. That would have been a sin. But,
they used to be. Hey, they used to be.
Okay, that's a fair assessment. But I was going to say the NFL has been pressuring the Las Vegas Raiders to fire Coach John Gruden for private emails sent as early as 2018, not as an NFL coach, but as an ESPN color analyst for Monday Night Football. And how ironic is it that the NFL will allow an accused sex offender, Deshaun Watson, one, to be on a 53-man roster, and two, we're hearing reports this week that they will initiate a three-way trade with the man in court with 20 civil lawsuits of sexual assault and misconduct, but they will move swiftly to remove John Gruden. I mean, does it frustrate you? Because it frustrates me to see the media so silent about this.
Absolutely. I just read an article this morning where John Gruden said the truth will come out. because there's also the 650,000 emails that you were talking about that that's not even in partake in this whole investigation.
No, that's being suppressed.
It's being suppressed.
Absolutely being suppressed. And I think that's such a great point because we also saw breaking news just before Thursday night football game last night that 2 House Democrats sent a letter to NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell demanding the league provide Congress with the results of the investigation into the Washington football team's workplace culture. And to me, I think we're all on the same page. Obviously, Roger Goodell has to be hiding something because there's no way out of 650,000 emails that everything has been reported.
Oh, he's hiding
What's
something.
there to hide?
Yeah, he's hiding something. I don't know what it is. He's hiding something. But look at this. You brought up Deshaun Watson. You think about Ray Rice. If that video never got released
Kareem
to the
Hunt.
public,
Who's on the Cleveland Browns.
If
Antonio
if
Brown.
that video from that elevator scene did not get published, he'd still be in the league. See, that's the double standard. It's
but
just,
I mean, he is in the league. Kareem Hunt is the second back. I always thought it was
but
so
Ray
funny.
Rice is not because the video leaked and it, everybody got to see it. So then
that's true too. I mean, but there was also Antonio Brown who, went to court for his female trainer for doing, being sexually inappropriate with her. Doing,
Or how about the guy that literally slaughtered animals, Vic?
Michael
slaughtering them
Vick,
by putting them into dog range.
But I guess the difference
slaughter.
would be, was Goodell even around? I'm not too sure. I guess someone in the comments watching this live would have to let us know. I'm not too sure if Roger Goodell was still around, but we just named 3 or 4 players examples during Goodell's time. So if they really, truly cared about the toxic workplace environment that the NFL is creating, you think it would start with the players first, right?
Right. Well, you start at the top of Roger Goodell and all the way down.
And absolutely. And
I want to know what's on those emails now. Now Congress is calling for those emails, right? Those 650,000
Absolutely.
emails?
Yeah, they are calling for the 650,000 emails, and we'll see whether they comply because what my understanding is there is no written report about the nearly year-long investigation, and the league has not released any of the findings. All we know is that John Gruden says some dumb shit. He posted a bikini topless pic to Dan Snyder, and we know that Dan Snyder is a prick. That's about it. But I have a feeling that the New York Times, the ones that originally released this story, is holding so much baggage that they're just waiting for Roger Goodell to spill the beans. But we could talk about this forever.
Yes.
But I did want to reference this because Canelo Alvarez is just a couple weeks away from his return as he faces Caleb Plant to crown the first ever 4-belt undisputed super middleweight champion in boxing history. That's pretty insane.
Yeah.
But does the IBF champion, who's 21-0, 12 KOs, have a chance against Canelo?
Well, of course he has a chance, but Canelo is definitely seasoned and he knows what to do in the ring. And if he can prolong that fight,
okay, but that made me kind of laugh. You don't think that Caleb Plant season, the guy is 21-0 with 12 knockouts. Every other fight, he's knocking somebody out. I mean, my only pet peeve with Canelo Alvarez is, and I'm still conflated. I am sort of feeling like Canelo Alvarez is going to pull it off. It's going to be late in the round. It's not going to happen quick.
Plant, dude.
You think
Caleb
Plant?
Right now, Caleb Plant, stamina's going to take it unless he gets knocked out.
Okay, what round? What round? What are we calling? Caleb Plant. Is it early? Is it late?
Ninth.
Okay, Caleb Plant, 9th round. I guess I'm going to go with, I said Canelo first. I'm going to have to stick with it. Canelo Alvarez, 8th round. Kevin, give us your pick.
You know what? Since you're speaking so highly of this kid, I'm going to go with the kid. Knock him
Caleb
out
Plant?
in the 4th round.
4th round. You heard it first.
He's got some real love for him.
That would be the biggest upset of all times. And Kevin Drake, thank you again for joining us, our CCS Sports contributor, discussing all things sports. We love you, my man. And, where can they follow you on social media?
I love you all too. Follow me on Instagram. I'll be also blogging here on the Chris Collins show. So there's a lot of good things to come.
That's what's up. Yeah, keep a lookout.
There's a lot of good things to come. We're evolving. That's what's happening right now.
That's what's good,
Kevin.
my man. Thank you again, Kevin, for joining us.
Much appreciated.
Peace.